Well, we are once again at another moment of truth. Uh, Gone through the process of past couple of weeks, ripping the motor down, putting it back together again with a new piston and rings in there, and hoping that would solve the problem of smoke coming out of the exhaust because of oil in the combustion chamber. So, like I say, it's always apprehensive when you're at these moments of truth. You know, did you accomplish the mission, or did you not get to the root of the problem? So we'll see in a couple of minutes. We're going to roll the bike over to the back door and see if we can start her up and what the results are. Now, it might still smoke just a little bit until the rings have set after a few miles, but we should know right away whether we've accomplished anything. So keep your fingers crossed. Hey, so what have I learned? You know, still smoking. So perhaps the problem was not piston rings and piston at all. So what I did as a test is I drained the oil out of the sump. This is a wet sump engine, has an oil tank, but some oil does accumulate in the bottom of the engine before it's pumped back up into the tank. So just for the heck of it, I decided to drain the oil out of the sump, and it's probably about a pint came out. Started up the motor, and guess what? No smoke. No smoke, no oil coming out of the exhaust. As the engine ran, the longer the engine ran, more oil accumulated in the sump, and it started to smoke again. So I'm going, okay, so seems like we're getting too much oil into the sump, into the bottom of the crankcase. That caused me to take the timing chest cover off and take a look at things. Here we are with the timing chest cover off, and the oil comes out of here from the oil pump and goes inside the Map of Africa cover. And inside the cover, the oil is distributed. Some of it goes up here to lubricate the rocker arm assembly. Okay, some of it goes here to lubricate the lifters. Some of it goes here to lubricate the cam. And then down at the very bottom here, there's a quill, which a limited amount of oil, it shot through here over to the bottom end in the bottom of the crankcase. Could that be the issue at hand? Here's that quill I'm talking about. The other thing, you know, I'm getting oil leaks through the timing chest. Is, I put that relief valve in here. That I don't know how much that helps, but we're still getting quite a few leaks, and yeah, it might just be the gasket. But then I started thinking about this point of union, here where this meets with the cover. See, that's where it meets with the cover down here. And maybe it's not getting a good seal there. And I noticed that there's a couple of big fat washers behind these nuts that either I put on or the prior guy put on. And as I look at the book, the diagrams in the book, I don't see any washers there at all. Without the washers, these nuts would pull closer and would make a better seal here. I saw in the book that somebody was just setting a paper gasket on the base of these nipples and letting the cover pull up against the paper gasket to make a better seal. Oh boy, we had a couple of frustrating days sorting out little issues relating to oil circulation, and there being too much oil gathering in the sump of the engine, not getting returned to the oil tank. So we disassembled the two oil lines and all of the associated fittings, and took apart the oil tank, and we found a piece that runs up through the center of the oil filter, a tube with a fitting on the bottom of it that really appeared to be quite restrictive when blowing through it. So I swapped that out with a similar piece that I had on the shelf from some time ago in some other bike or extra spare parts or whatever. Did that, and then had a heck of a time bleeding the oil lines to restore oil circulation. In past videos, I've talked about a little check valve that's in the tank here that keeps the oil, when the engine is turned off, from draining down into the crankcase and in wet sumping. It's a spring with a ball on the top of it, and when there's suction from the oil intake created by the oil pump. It pulls the ball down and the oil can flow. And then when the engine turns off, the ball pushes back up again and shuts off the oil flow. Well, the problem is if there's any air bubbles at all, I mean, even little teeny microscopic series of air bubbles in the line, the pump won't create enough suction to pull the ball down because it'll be squishing those microscopic air bubbles. So you bleed and you bleed and you bleed and you think you've got it and you put it all back together again and try it and it fails and you do it over and over and over again and you finally get the almost invisible air bubbles out of the system and lo and behold you start to get good solid oil circulation. As you can see, the tank is back on and carburetor fuel line's all hooked up and the bike is starting real good and not really smoking just a little bit, and I think that'll clear up as the ring's set. And I decided I might as well pull the wheels off and do up the tires and the tubes. So I'm going to take the wheels over to my buddy Kyle at K&N motorcycle shop down in Hudson, New Hampshire, and I get my tires from him. And I'm at this stage of the game where busting tires off of rims is not my idea of fun anymore. So I treat myself to letting somebody else do that. So well, while the tires are out being mounted, I know you really wouldn't have me sitting around doing nothing. So I've decided to address the electrical system. And as you can see, I've got a alternator in place here, and have to do some rewiring because although it's a Miller alternator, it's been rebuilt to work with the Lucas voltage regulator, which is a superior voltage regulator, but it does throw a bit of a monkey wrench into the wiring schematic diagram. So a little monkeying around with getting the wiring sorted out on this, and hopefully I'll get to a point where I can actually hook up a pulley and an electric drill or something and motor it and get the generator going as if the bike was running, and be able to test out the electrical stuff and make sure that I got the wiring sorted out properly. But that's what I'm up to now. Here's the voltage regulator I'm going to mount here, and I've put in my own wiring block rather than the silly connectors that the Brits used on all these bikes, which are often the source of electrical issues. Up here you can see what's going on inside the headlight shell. Pretty basic stuff up in here. Okay, electrifying Velocette number 4.